I'm just curious, how many of you in this room had an introduction to Bowen theory from Friedman? Friedman. Okay? Or his book, either Friedman or his book, I'm sorry. Yeah, his book. Okay, that all of a sudden changed. Thank you. Now, what about those of you who got to disperse through Healthy Congregations or through Pete's work? Okay, so a good portion of that, and maybe some of that will overlap. His initial underwriting came from a place called the Lutheran Brotherhood Hour, and you Lutherans would know the history better than I do, but it's now called Thriving. Is that right? And it came out of these two books, Healthy Congregation, How Your Church Family Works, kind of an amalgamation of those two, plus some workshops he had been putting together. We were the congregation I served at the time was the first non-mainline church where he had presented some of the materials back in the mid-90s. And these materials look like this. For some of the younger people in our audience, these are called videotapes. We used to put them in a little box-like thing, and then they projected images. It's kind of hard to keep track of all this technology here. And Pete was a part of this organization until it moved to Columbus in 2006. And it was just prior to that also that Thriving support stopped. But at that point we moved to Columbus, and Emily became the director. And we've continued to train facilitators, train other facilitator trainers. We've intentionally broadened our denominational exposure, not only to, well, first of all on board, but then as well in other congregations. We've made a significant attempt to try and reach out to other denominational groups. The current workshops have been reformatted in some ways and standardized in biblical text and references. There were some citations that had to be changed or permissions that had to be changed in order to use the materials. We've also been involved in the seminary at all levels, and that's been exciting to see students involved in this organization called Healthy Congregation. Here is one of our smiling group. Ben is the only one of this group who's still around. Well, Joe is part-time, is that right?
Yeah.
Joe is part-time. This is Joe right here.
They're all part-time, actually.
They're all part-time still? Okay. And so, well, Jeff has moved on to another area, though, hasn't he?
Jeff's on internship, Ada's on internship, and Daryl's on
Okay. Internship. And they've been key to, as you see this year, they've been key to helping us keep the national gathering going. Just make sure I get some of these things. Oh, I wanted to go back to this one in terms of denominational exposure. I would just like for the board members to stand where you are, just the board members, if you will stand, those of you who are here. Give your name and your denominational connection. I'm Bob Mathis, and I'm Church of God, Anderson, Indiana. That's kind of a weird little fish in the sea. Okay?
Michael Jukman, Episcopalian.
Ben Bexford, Christian Reformed.
Bev Bexford, Christian Reformed.
Lee Gillis, Presbyterian.
Marianne Schwab, Lutheran.
Larry Foster, Jewish Lutheran.
Emlyn Ott, Lutheran. The Lutherans are all hanging out together.
And
Jewish people.
Lutherans who never saw my right. One of the challenges we've had is because we're housed in a Lutheran seminary, people think we're a Lutheran organization. And also with Pete's influence and his ability to move into the Lutheran Church rather quickly. But through Trinity and our relationship with them, we have meeting space. It's where the director's office is. It's where the shipping room is housed. The bookkeeping support happens through them. We actually share some bookkeeping staff. And it's also given us access to students who are interested in healthy congregations, besides the students who are part of the organization in the work-study programs. You'll notice that absent from this list is something that's very much needed for an organization. It's called finances. We don't receive any funding at all from Trinity. We are very grateful for those things that we do receive and very appreciative of those. And realize there is a cost benefit to those things. But there there are times where folks have thought erroneously that we have financial support for them, and we are an autonomous organization within the seminary. And by the way, I also, and you all know that Dr. Ott is now also the Dean of Leadership Development. Did I get that title right? Or Leadership Formation? Formation. Okay. So, and that happened just this fall, and this is another juggling that's going on. So, while we've juggled these things, we've also continued to distribute materials. The quality of the national gatherings that I've been a part of continue to be helpful and challenging as well. These are some of the places where we've had them. And we consult with congregations during these times. Distribution of materials has been managed by the work study staff, and that staff changes each year, so that creates some challenges for us. We also have been very fortunate that the quality of students that have moved in our direction, we have got what we think just some of the refined quality students who move our direction for leadership and working with us, and we're very appreciative of that. And Dr. Ott has shared many levels of responsibility with these students, and they have picked up the ball and helped out tremendously. I just want to say thank you for all the support that we're getting this year behind the scenes too. And this year they especially had to scramble because we had hired an assistant and that didn't work out, and in the meantime they filled in into those places. We've added membership. One second. Yeah, sorry. We've added membership to the organization by way of the website, and that membership comes through on the website. You can join and become a member, and you'll find on there that you can access the Main Street Forum. You can access video feeds of this presentation will be on there. Presentations from our Friday gatherings are on there as well. Is that right, Emma? Some of the presentations that we've done. I have dropped a paper here somewhere. Well, it's sufficiently gone, so I'll just stay with what's here. The Healthy Leadership seminars that we've added to the program happen at Trinity Seminary. They happen on Friday. They happen in a period of one time a month, September to May, except for December. And they go from 8:30 in the morning to 4:30. We follow the format. In the morning time, Dr. Ott and I give lectures about the theory. In noontime break, we show some of the primary videos of Friedman or Bowen or other theoreticians who, Dr. Kerr, some primary tapes to give an idea of what this theory is about. Then in the afternoon, we do family of origin groups and breakout groups. And in total to that, we've had 117 people in these workshops over the years since they began in 2007. And I also want to, Michael, would you stand? Michael Jupin has been one of our breakout leaders. And Marianne, would you stand? Yes, you've been one of our breakout leaders. So on our family of origin groups, these are folks who know. And once in a while, we've asked Larry to come down, and either Dr. Otter or I had to be gone. Larry Foster has bailed us out and come down and sub for one of our groups. Anything you would add, Emily, about the leadership series? How many of you in the room have been a part of the leadership series? I think there are some here. Gives you an idea. You're welcome to check with some of these folks who just lifted their hand if you're interested in more about them. In addition to the leadership seminar, part of the seminar each year we have brought in May, usually, sometimes it's been April, one time it's April, but usually it's May, we bring in outside guest speakers. And here you see Roberta Gilbert, Israel Belinda, Margaret Markuson, and Larry Matthews. These are four of the people. Susan Luff is not on, she was there for one of our series. We bring those folks in to do the lecture series on the morning of leadership seminars, and we open it up to the public. And this past year, this gives you a little bit of an idea of some of the people who are participants of that. But we get people from all around the Columbus area and central Ohio. They come in from different states as well. This past year, Ohio Health and the American Association of Pastoral Counselors shared in sponsorship of the spring event. Now that's a pretty big deal to start opening up to the next level. We're excited about that kind of thing continuing. So since this gathering in Kansas City, we had hired, since last year in Kansas City, we hired an assistant to Dr. Ott, and it did not work for her schedule. The person had some needs come up in her own family, ended up taking another position. So we just started to launch, because last year we said we were going to do some launching, and we did that launching, and then we had to take a step back. So we're once again looking at where we launch. And as we look at where we are now, this is where we are, a place where you can make a difference. And leadership team, I would like for you, if you will, to hand out those packets around the room. Everybody has one. So just hang on to it for a minute. You'll find when you start looking, this will be in there among some other things. But every year the board is wrestling with the need for additional funding to move healthy congregation into the future. Last year when we met in Kansas City, Dr. Ott announced that AC, the Healthy Congregations, is at a turning point, she said. And I remember the board shuddered when she said, and we had been talking about this, but she said it in our national gathering last year. We are at a place where we have to make some changes, or we are at a fork in the road of where we go in the future. Now, that was kind of vague and left out there, and we've just looked at this and decided where we go. We've hired Sandra Smith as a fundraising specialist to help us put together some materials. And with her help, we've developed some campaign goals and some promotional materials that you have in that packet. So just take a look at that packet right now. Just get it out there and get your hands on it. Take a look at some of the things that are there. You'll find that letter. You'll find the brochure, as well as the contribution card. Here's what we hope to do as we look towards this goal of $300,000, which is a very aggressive goal for an organization of our size. We want to talk about digital distribution of the workshops. And that means you'll be able to go to the website, download the workshops that you need, rather than having to buy them in a packet. You get the whole packet mailed to you, and then you find you don't need that many, or you need more of another workshop that you don't have. You can get them on demand. We want to be able to do that in the future. We can't do that now because of the access. We also want to develop new workshops themselves. One of the things that we've learned as we've looked at the Healthy Congregations material, there's nothing in there about family of origin work, which is part of why we added the leadership series. It's absent from all of the workshops. It's mentioned only slightly, but it's a core concept to Bowen theory. And it's right there at the heart of theory. So we're looking at developing new workshops, and in doing that, we haven't defined exactly how those workshops look, because it depends on how much of a goal we can reach before we can do what we want to do. It needs to be continued reformatted and to redistribute the workshops to get them out to you. And in order to do that, the website has to be redone. I don't know about the rest of you, but I had a very frustrating time registering for this conference, because I kept seeing that it discounted 5%, and then I couldn't get back to a screen that I needed to get back to that told me why that would be done. And when I went back to it, it canceled everything that I moved forward. Fine, so I had to do it again and back it again. That's because the program that we're using behind the website doesn't interface properly with some of the other websites and with PayPal. Things like that are very costly to change. And we need help with the website on a regular basis so it is brought up to date even more, so that we can make changes like this and registrations as well as distribution materials a lot more accessible. And we have to add ongoing administrative support. While the students that we receive have been very quality students, they're also going on to their own ministries, and there is a transition that happens when we shift from one to the other. They've done very good at overlapping and helping each other out. We've had students who have gone on to their own ministries, and Travis, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. He's one of our students who now is in the pastorate. Anybody else here who's on the staff who's now in a pastoral position? They're all out there doing their work, right? Travis is here taking it easy. No. In order to continue to grow this organization, we have to add ongoing, solid leadership in the office and helping us with the website, helping us develop the website, helping the website become relevant and keeping materials updated. The constant process of that is a need that we have. So where we are now, with this current projected goal of 300,000, we're about 21% of pledges towards that. That's through the board members and the leadership team, people that we've been able to connect with or get some projections from. We're at about 21% of that goal. As you know, that's a long way from where it needs to be, and we need your help. And here's what you can do, basically, to help with that. One is your own pledge, and that's right here on the card. My card is here somewhere. I hope you can find your card faster than I'm finding mine. But it's there on the card, and if you will look at that, we would hope even before the end of this week you can let us know what you might be able to do. Your giving is important. No amount too small, too large, as they say on the public radio stations all the time when you listen to it. We very much need your support for that. But you know, even with your help around this table, unless there are some donors much larger than I know about, we probably are not going to reach that 300,000 goal. Now, if we are, and I don't want to overestimate the power of this group, if you all can donate it to where we come up to 300,000, we're very appreciative of that. But we need your help in another way, and that's your influence. And when we talk about influence, the kind of influence we're referring to are people that you know, people that you can name or give us a name where we can send mailings to, send information to. If you know them, for you to send a letter, a cover letter on with it to talk to those people. If you would prefer one of the board members to talk with them, we would be willing to do that. But we need your influence out there in society. So think about friendships, think about connections, relationships, even to think about possible grants that might be available for us. Some of our board or our leadership team are working on grants to help us move forward as well.